Hi, my name is Laura Savory, and this is my social studies history video project. So I'm just going to talk about myself for a little bit and then talk about social studies and what I like. I grew up in Silver Spring, Maryland, which is in Montgomery County. It's a pretty affluent area. I was lucky to live there. I was lucky to grow up the way I did. My grandparents are Cuban immigrants on my dad's side, so I grew up speaking a lot of Spanish with them. They taught me a lot that I know about Cuba and about what they went through in their youth and growing up and coming to America and their immigration. And then on my mother's side, my grandma volunteered a lot at the Belle Dawson House in Rockville, Maryland. She took me to Mount Vernon a lot. She was a really big history buff and taught me a lot about what I know about local history in Rockville and about that. In elementary school, I think everybody did a wax museum. I did two. I went to a private school from first grade to third grade. And in third grade, we gave mini speeches. And I did mine on Laura Ingalls Wilder because I loved the Little House on the Prairie books. And her name's Laura, my name's Laura, so it just made sense to third grade me. And then in fifth grade, I did my wax museum project on Abigail Adams. We had to paint backdrops of like a normal setting that they would be found in, and had to have historically accurate costumes. And we researched a 4-minute mini speech on her life. Students would come around, they would push the red button on your hand, and you would have to recite your speech. And that happened throughout the whole day. So I gave my speech a lot. The main reason I wanted to be Abigail Adams was because my aunt, who does a lot of theater in Virginia and in the DC area, she had just played Abigail Adams in 1776, so I wanted to be like her, picked Abigail Adams, cool girl. In middle school, we went on a field trip to a plantation in St. Mary's County. That was kind of cool. I don't really remember much about it except for that. We also went to the Chesapeake Bay and did, Maryland sort of history and Maryland social studies type things. And then for some reason, I feel like we learned about the Aztecs and the Incas, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Middle school is kind of a blur, as it is for most people, I would assume. In high school, freshman year, I took U.S. history, and I really love U.S. history. I think it's a really interesting part of all of social studies. I really like learning about World War II. I don't really know why. I've always thought it's kind of cool, like the culture of America during World War II and how everybody was involved and all about that. Then sophomore year, I took AP Government, and in AP Government, we did a mock Congress, and we wrote bills, and we had to learn about like how a bill gets turned into a law, and we elected people to be in the House and be in the Senate, and we went through all of that, and that took about 2 weeks, but I feel like it really made an impact on me, and I learned a lot about that. We also focused a lot on like big U.S. court cases, like Brown versus Board, and like the I'm stuttering. We learned a lot about all of those big important court cases that are important for everybody to know in the U.S. history, and we got quizzed on them, and that was really fun to me because I really like law, and I really like learning about those big trials and how they impacted so much, and like so much leading up to it had an impact, and then so much after it had such an impact as well. We watched Gideon's Trumpet, which I thought was really cool, and my teacher let us watch a lot of West Wing, which was also kind of fun because it was a fun way to get pop culture involved into social studies, and West Wing's a great show and kind of showed a little bit of everything, like all the sides of the government and in DC. And then junior year, we took AP World History, and I was really, really excited for this class, but then I ended up being kind of let down. I wanted to learn a lot about like Europe and European history, but we kind of really only spent about 2 weeks on that, and the only thing I remember from that is the Chinese dynasties in order. Doesn't really have a lot of value, but I know them. Shang Zhao, Qin, Han Sui, Tang Song, Yao Min, Qing Republic, Mao Zedong, dang. So, yeah. We learned a lot about China. I don't know if it was because it was something my teacher really liked, or if it was part of the curriculum, or who knows what, but AP World History is not my favorite. And then senior year, I was on my high school's We the People team. The We the People team is We the People, the citizens, and the Constitution, and this is all about civic education. Basically, it's mock congressional hearings, and I was part of the Unit 6 team, which is the 21st Century Challenges to an American Constitutional Democracy. So we pretty much learned and wrote speeches about how to apply the Constitution to today. We would write 3 speeches individually based on the questions, and then we would work together in our teams of 5 to combine and edit all of our speeches into 3 speeches that are no more than 6 minutes long. We practiced a lot. We had teachers from the building come in and test us and pretend like it was the real thing. We actually went on to compete in the district level, which we won. And then we competed on the state level, and we won. And then we went to nationals and competed in DC against 53 other teams. And that was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had. I've never felt more knowledgeable about the world or about America and politics, about what was going on, than I did in that time of my life. I was constantly reading about everything that was going on, just how to relate it to my speech and how to fit it in there, and how to get it out there so that the judges really knew that what we were talking about. It was also probably the hardest thing I've ever done. It took a lot of teamwork. It took a lot of time. But it was something that I was really passionate about. And my teacher, Donna Phillips, she's one of my biggest role models. I think she was an incredible teacher. She did such a good job with a class that is a really hard thing to do, especially at high school level. And I really think that civic ed is something that's really important. I think that all students should take more classes on civic education because it really is what makes America America. And then most recently, over the summer, I went to the Civil Rights Museum in Memphis, and it was really eye-opening and emotional. Like standing on the balcony where Dr. King was assassinated was very cool, and then like you walk past that and you see his room, and like they left it exactly how it was in the Lorraine Model, and that was just really cool. And like, again, like I really like U.S. history, so that kind of the civil rights movement, all about U.S. history, and that was really something that I'll never forget. In general, I really, really like social studies. I think it's a very fun class. I think there's ways to make it really engaging and really make it fun for students. And I just totally lost my train of thought. If I wasn't an elementary school teacher, I would want to teach high school social studies in some way or another. I will also am really into like figuring out how to incorporate plays and TV shows into movies into it, because I feel like that's a way to get kids to really respond to it and to see how that all fits together and put it in a perspective that they can understand and see, you know, actors portraying it and seeing how all of that works. That's something that's really important to me to figure out how to do in my future teaching. I'm drawing a blank. I lost my thing. I found it. Oh, and now my computer froze. Okay, sorry. This is not good. I'm really excited for this class. I feel like this is a class that can really teach me a lot, not only about social studies, but also about teaching. I want to get involved in my high school's civics program. Like if I were to ever go back into Montgomery County and teach, I would want to go back and like talk about my class and see how I did in the We the People class, because my high school doesn't have that program anymore, and that's something that like if I could bring back as an after school club, I would totally want to do, because again, it was so fun and so rewarding. And I think it was only around for about 4 years at my high school, but I feel like it's something that all students should actually like take. And it was like a social studies elective, because senior year you don't have to take social studies, but it was something that I really wanted to do. And then more about, let's say, college social studies and history. I did my first semester of my freshman year at Penn State, and I took a U.S. history class there. It was a lot of reading, a lot of boring reading, and a lecture style course with a TA meeting on Fridays where you would discuss the reading and write papers about the reading. And I feel like there's ways to make social studies way more fun than that is. And I get that that was a college level social studies history class, but that's not the way to teach it. I feel like, you know, if this is something we want kids to like learn about and something we want adults to be involved in, then it's that we need to figure out a way to teach it better, especially at the college level. that's really the only other history class, social studies type class I've taken in college. So I'm very excited for this one. I'm excited to see how social studies works in my classroom at Forest Ridge, because so far I've only seen English, even though my teacher, who's departmentalized, teaches social studies. We haven't gotten around to it yet. But again, she said it's a lot about government, and they're getting ready to start their civil rights unit, which is, to me, is also really exciting, since it is one of my favorite parts of social studies. And I think that's about it. I really am excited to work with Hamilton in this class, because I think it's awesome, and I love the music. And of course, I love Kid Nation. Yeah, so thank you, and I will see you on Thursday.